Hi, Niloo. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Anastasia? Happy
I'm
New
very,
Year.
very good. I'm very good. It's a little bit of raining in Melbourne right now.
hmm
How about Canada?
Today it's actually not raining, but that's the second day after 10 days of straight rain. So
Can you see the rainbow?
not yet, not yet. We're still in it. We're still in it. Yeah.
Look, as per usual, you look absolutely fabulous. I can see a beautiful smile, and I'm really, really happy to have you here today because we're having a very interesting subject we want to talk about. It's not just the amount of calories we want to cover, but we also want to actually see what type of recipes you came up with
hmm
and how these recipes can actually help us to increase the protein intake, to stay healthy, to stay fit.
hmm
So I obviously went to your Instagram and I found a very good set that we can talk about today. And I'm sure a lot of people also will be interested in. And after this session, they will be able to jump into your blog as well and
hmm
maybe grab some recipes and cook them.
Yeah.
Cook some meals out of your recipes as well. So obviously, you talk a lot about 1800 calories, yeah, meals. And I had a bit of a question about it because somebody said to me, and I think I don't know if it's a stereotype or it's just me, but 1800 calories, is it a big amount? Because I always thought it's like a 12, 14 calories, 100 calories to stay fit and losing the weight. So in terms of the amount, is it a good amount, 1800 calories a day?
Okay, this is a really good question because I
Yeah.
know that a lot of people, right now it's the New Year's, everyone wants to go in and get those weight loss goals in, and they'll find a bunch of calculators online. And okay, so 1200, I would never suggest that to anybody. I just think that's horrible. Like if you're getting that from an app, then you really need to go and do more research because I just don't think that it's a very healthy amount to be taking in per day unless you're an extremely small person, and by small I mean less than 5 feet tall. I really don't think it's a good idea.
Okay.
In terms of calories, it is very specific to the person. So it depends on your height, it depends on your gender, it depends on your activity level. It depends on so many factors that you can't just generalize. And like this was an example of me saying 1800 because, like you mentioned, many times people have assumed that 1200 or 1400 may be a good range. And I'm trying to drive home the point that that's just too low of a range. Not to say that you have to stop at 1800. It really depends on the person and like everything else of those factors that I mentioned before. So I think that it's more important to focus on where you're at right now, take in those other factors, and then see what your end goal is and whether that end goal is actually realistic. Okay. Um, so, I mean, I usually use an equation called the Mifflin-St. Jean equation, which has, I believe, at this time compared to others, it has the lowest margin of error when you're trying to calculate your basal metabolic rate. So you could go online and get some sort of macro calculator, but there are a lot of not so great ones. So what we can do after this, if people actually show some interest in it or they're looking to do their own calculations, we can include the equation so they can use it based on their weight in kilograms and their activity level as well as their age. So hope that sums that up.
Okay, yeah. This is something I actually, you're reading my mind because this is something I was thinking about. It purely depends on your lifestyle, right?
Yes.
Because I'm so sorry, but if we're spending all day on the couch, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we're
Mm-hmm.
just eating, so
Yes.
1800 calories is not going to be good for you. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
active and if you need food, right, you need
Yeah.
energy, you need protein, 1800 calories must be just spot on. So this is exactly the amount we should have and intake daily if we're active, right?
Depending on the person, because and
Okay.
activity level has a range as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that everybody should go out there and make their calorie level 1800 and leave it at that. So the activity range can range from a person that is completely sedentary, like you said, sitting on the couch all day, versus, yeah, if you're doing that, versus somebody that is doing activity 1 to 2 times a week, that's one range. 3 to 5 times a week, that's another range. 6 to 7 workouts a week, which is pretty high. And then it peaks out at the athlete level. So this is a professional athlete, a person that's pretty much moving most of the hours of the day, and they would have a very different activity factor. So 1,800 for a lot of people will be too low. So it's really important to factor that in. And of course, again, it depends on your weight and your height and what your end goal is within a realistic range. Okay. So if you're 5'6" and you're higher than the recommended range of weight, you may have a very different number than a man that is 6'1" and a lot heavier, and maybe he's a lot more active than you. So he will definitely have a higher number.
Okay, look, thank you so much for this, because you completely put it back on the spot, my understanding of calories, because all these apps I was using as well, and I'm sure a lot of people probably doing the same, like easy fix, just set up the app on your phone, how many calories, and then you put in your meals amount a day, and then it just calculates for you how many calories did you actually have. So, but then you're thinking, 1,200, 1,300, because I'm very short, you're thinking, that's probably enough, but then maybe it's actually not for you. So you actually have to have a bit of calories.
And it's dangerous, because if you are under eating for a long period of time, what will happen is you will see weight loss, and maybe you'll start to feel really good about it, but eventually the body is very smart, and you're going to get to a point where you just have nowhere else to go. Like, you cannot keep decreasing your calories until you're eating practically nothing. Like you can't, you start to lose weight, and then at some point it's not going to go down anymore, because as people will know, when you are on a weight loss journey, the weight loss is not linear. You don't just start at one number and then it just goes on the same curve until you reach your endpoint. It's going to be more like this. Like, you'll have moments where it plateaus, and then it might come back down, and then it's going to plateau again, and maybe it will go back up, but then eventually it will stabilize and come down. So you need to recognize that in the process. It's not something that you just get from point A to point B and just pick a number and that's all. So.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, that's a good point. So basically, we want to look into your 5 meals today. So I'm just going to add into our stream on the screen and bring it over your beautiful meals that you've got here. So obviously we've got what 1,800 calories looks like in a day, and thank you for doing this, because I think it's a very good opportunity for people just to yep. This is something that I can actually use. And I'm, for example, also I'm a busy mom, I'm working and stuff like that. I don't have much time to spend hours in the kitchen. And how much time would you use to cook up all these dishes for how many 5 is here? So how much time in total would you spend on each meal?
So a lot of these meals can be made ahead of time. So you could do a meal prep. If you take about 2 hours, depends on the variety of meals that you pick, but 2 to 3 hours on, let's say, a Sunday, you could make a lot of these things beforehand in a larger batch, and then put them in airtight containers in the fridge, and then reach for them throughout the week. So it's easier. Now, for instance, like the lentil soup, that could easily be made in a slow cooker. So in the recipe that I have online, I didn't make it in a slow cooker, but I've also done it in a slow cooker before. If you want to make it very hands-off, you basically just put all the veggies and a bit of broth and the lentils. Make sure you rinse them well. You should actually soak those lentils so that you can make sure that it's more bioavailable, like your body can digest them better. So you can put that in a crock pot. That's taken care of. The chicken fried rice actually uses leftover rice. So you can make a big batch of rice on a Sunday, and then this dinner can be made fresh, like one of the nights of the week, and it's quite fast. And the niçoise, there's no cooking involved except to steam the beans. The scarpaccia is something that you can, again, make on a Sunday, or like, let's say you start the week on a Monday, you have it done in the oven, and then it's cut up into pieces that you can put in a container in the fridge. So it's pretty easy. And the cake, I believe the recipe takes 35 minutes. So all of the meals that I've included, I try to keep them under 35 minutes max, depending on how involved the recipe is. But as I've moved forward and I've noticed the response from people, I'm just going more in the direction of making the recipes as easy as possible. So nothing is too involved and difficult. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's what we want. We want to save time. We want to stay healthy. And are they, in terms of the budgets, are they expensive to purchase all of these ingredients as well? Like, what would be your, I know it's probably a question out of the radar, but what would be your total budget basket for these 5 meals? Say, I want to cook 5 meals from Niloo. I want to go to shop right now. What would be my total budget for 5?
It's, you know what? Maybe I should do a slide where I do a calculation to see how much each meal comes out to.
Just roughly.
I've never done it because what I tend to do is I'll buy the meats ahead of time from Costco. I don't think you guys have Costco in Australia, but it's like
we do.
You do? Okay, a wholesale store, right? So I'll buy the meats and I'll freeze them separately, and then I'll just use them. So it's quite economical that way. Lentils, I mean, they're extremely inexpensive. You can find them dry in the grocery store, like a bag of lentils that you can use. I think it's like 900 grams or 500 gram package. You can use multiple times, and it comes out to a total of $3 or $4, like Canadian. Everything else, rice is extremely inexpensive. So it's really just the price of the proteins, I would say. So if you're buying chicken, if you're buying cans of tuna are not that expensive either. I mean, I get a really good brand from Costco called Rio Mare, and it's extremely, it's so good. Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a really good brand because I've actually checked out their website, and they do sustainable fishing. So they actually track like the places that they fish from. So each can has a number on it that you can trace it back to where and when it was first caught and processed in their facilities. So that way you're getting something that's sustainable, that you know where it's coming from, and it's a better quality fish versus
that's fantastic. That's a good one. That's a good one. You just probably buy bulks and probably plan ahead what you're gonna cook and mix and match and stuff like that. So that's a good one. Look, I really like chicken with fried rice, like generally speaking, and it's actually caught my attention, this recipe, because I think it's a very universal. A lot of people. Hey, let's have a chicken fried rice tonight and put all vegetables in there and do a bit of a mix and mix it up. And but the thing is, like, there's a stereotype and there's a sort of a preconceived knowledge, I don't know, but actually rice is very high in carbs, and rice is actually, if you want to lose weight, for example, if you want to stay fit, the amount of rice is not quite good for you because it's a bloated stomach. It's a carbs, obviously, like a pasta rice. Can you just sort of tell us a bit more about the myth? And is it true that rice is not quite right if you want to lose weight?
Okay. This is, there's, in my mind, when I look at food, I see it as energy. I don't see it as this food is good, this food is bad. And if you are in that cycle, if you're constantly looking at things and trying to classify it as good or bad, my biggest suggestion would be to revisit that and try to get an understanding of the types of foods that you are choosing on a daily basis. Because if you can work on that relationship and not categorize things as good and bad, and truly understand why you're making certain choices and when they're beneficial and when they're not, I think it's a much more healthy approach to things. Now, to answer your question, in terms of rice is an excellent source of carbohydrates. So it's actually not too high in carbs. And I think that this touches on the point of what I would called nutritional timing. So the reason that I included this one, now this represented a typical day for me. So, and I don't even know if I was eating 1,800 calories that day. I may have been eating more, but fried rice, I actually had after a really good workout. So what you're thinking right now, okay, so when would I want to have a meal that has rice in it? After a workout, I was doing a weight training workout. You'll want to take in a good amount of protein to help your muscles recover.
Yep.
But aside from that, you need to ensure that you have a really good supply of carbs to help shuttle those amino acids in the protein source to your muscles. Without the carbohydrates, it's going to be a very difficult and slow process of trying to shuttle those nutrients to your muscles as quick as possible. Okay. So rice is an excellent source because it's a fast digesting carbohydrate. If you use something like, for instance, if you skip out the rice afterwards, like if you skip out the potatoes, if you skip out anything that is fast digesting,
faster,
fruit,
faster.
It's not to your benefit. Like it's actually good. Like you have to look at it in the sense that, how do I recover from this workout? How do I replenish my glycogen stores, all the energy that I just burned? This is a really great way to do it, right? So I wouldn't write it off. That's what I'm trying to say. It has its place. It has its purpose. It's really nutritious. It has a lot of other minerals and vitamins that are good for you. So you want to look at food with that view, as opposed to just saying, this is fewer calories, so I'm just going to take this. Because just because something is lower calorie doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually good for you, or your body's going to function optimally with it, right?
Okay,
so,
yeah. I agree with you on this one, because it's more of the understanding of why you're actually eating this particular type of food, right? But I think it also comes down to, in my perspective, it depends how much rice do you eat. For example, you can have a smaller portion of rice. I love rice. I absolutely adore rice, and I can't say no to rice. But just it's a general, people think it might be too much for you, bloat, but then there's a difference between a little plate of beautiful, freshly cooked chicken fried rice with, and a massive bowl that you're eating regularly on breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I think it's a two different perspective as well. I think it also depends on the amount you're taking in.
Yeah.
Because, but it's a bit of a controversy here, because then you're thinking, if I crave rice all the time, so what's wrong with me? Yeah. So if I want to have a rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so what's going to happen to your body?
Right.
So you really need to understand, like, as you said, after workout, that's a very good advice. So maybe after workout, okay, how about have a chicken fried rice now? So because I just had a good workout. So that's actually good advice and specific advice, So because a lot of people go to gym and doing some exercising and stuff like that. By the way, can you consider walking in the park and taking up to 10,000 steps as a workout as well?
Absolutely. It can be, depending on your pace and how often you're doing it, it can count as a lower intensity form of exercise, which I know nowadays that people are always talking about HIIT training, which is high intensity exercise. It is beneficial, but you need to have a balance in your workouts, because if you do too much HIIT, you're going to injure yourself. You're going to be overly tired. You're going to spike your cortisol levels, your hormones, that hormone in your body, and it may prevent you from losing weight as quickly as you would like, because your body is never in a state of recovery, and it's always in a state of stress. Walking in the park is a great form of exercise. Walking in general, I think, is very undervalued.
I think so too. Yeah,
you're using
absolutely.
all your muscles when you're walking. You're using your arms, you're using your legs, your core, your back. It's a very good form of exercise. I think that if you're not a person that exercises, it would be a very good starting point to get yourself moving and to, get to a point where you're starting to release those endorphins and feel good about it. And then maybe you'll try other things with time.
And Niloo, just a quick question, and I want you to answer very short, like
Sure.
one or two phrases. With the rice, out of four categories, because we know, like coming back to the rice
Yeah.
topic. So, do you think there's a particular rice? Because we've got white rice, brown rice, we've got basmati rice. Are those ones are the best and more nutritious for you? Which one is the best ever? Say, if I go to the shop tomorrow, I will look at those shelves and I'll look, oh, 1, 2, 3, how many rices are here? Which one do I take? Okay, I'll pay extra dollar for it, but it's more nutritious. So which one do you think is the best one to grab and put it
Okay.
in your shelf?
Okay. I personally have both. Like, it depends on my mood, really, most of the time.
Sure.
Like, sometimes I'll have brown rice. I really do like white jasmine rice, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In
Okay.
terms of antioxidants, black rice and red rice tend to have the highest level of antioxidants. Okay. Brown rice and then white rice. So white rice is basically a stripped form. You call it stripped because it doesn't have the bran and the germ layers that of the grain. So that part is removed, and so you're removing the fiber and some of those nutrients. But if you look at the labels in the grocery store, you'll notice that some brands, especially in North America, they fortify the white rice again. So that means that they basically inject back the nutrients and minerals that were lost into those grains in order to up the nutritional density of the food. So I don't think that you have to forego white rice if you can't stomach brown rice or red or black rice. Still, you can get a lot of benefits from having white rice, but brown rice in general is a better choice because it's more nutritionally dense.
Brown.
Okay. Yeah.
So brown.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go to shops and I'll get more of that. Because white rice, I've got it, but it's good to have something of really nutritious, and you just know it's going to have so much benefit out of it.
And you can change it up. Yeah.
I'm actually looking at your meal number 4. Yeah, it's a tuna niçoise salad, and how did you come up with this recipe, just in generally speaking? It looks very, very delicious, and obviously tuna is also one of my favorite. Like, I just love fish in general and seafood. There's the 2 questions. How did you come up with this recipe? And number 2, like, as far as it's a canned tuna you're utilizing, yeah? Like just a normal canned tuna.
Correct.
Because I know tuna also has to be in a certain proportions because it's got a lot of salt in it as well, and salt sometimes could affect your blood pressure if people struggling with the higher blood pressure and stuff like that. It's all balanced in this dish, right?
Is the salt, you mean, balanced in the dish?
Yep.
Okay, so you, in terms of where the recipe comes from, I wish I could say I invented it. I definitely did not.
No, really?
It is a classic salad that is from Nice in France, in southern France.
Here we go.
However, this recipe that I did is not a traditional tuna niçoise because a niçoise salad generally has potatoes as well. I think it's a mustard-based vinaigrette. So in this case, I used a Rio Mare tuna that was packed in extra virgin olive oil. I drained the olive oil, so I didn't use a vinaigrette. So I used the healthy fats from the olive oil to dress the salad, and I believe I spritzed it with some lemon on top.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I mean, it's an excellent choice. Tuna in general is a fish that it's a very deep water fish, so there is some controversy with regard to the level of mercury that some species of tuna can contain. Generally, canned tuna is from the smaller varieties of tuna. So the mercury levels are much lower than tuna that if you have like tuna steaks, for instance, or like yellowfin tuna or big eye tuna, that stuff is definitely higher in mercury. You could aim to have it once a week, maximum twice a week. So, you don't increase your mercury intake. And I'm talking about just the average person. Pregnant women, children, it's a different story. Like, I don't think they are supposed to have it, from what I know. So, I mean, I think I've heard that. I don't know.
Yep.
So in terms of tuna, though, from the can, The varieties of skipjack and light tuna are generally a better choice than something like an albacore tuna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a person that suffers from high blood pressure, then most likely you're on a special regimen from your doctor. So I don't know, like I can't advise whether you should be eating it or not, but there definitely are types of tuna that are lower in salt, like they don't have additional salt added in, that could be a better option in that case.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, because we all love tuna, but sometimes, yeah, again, we're talking about the amount and proportions and types of tuna, yeah, and all these little bits of pieces that related to you. But it's a good recipe. Hey, I really, really like it. I actually, it's on my list of cooking recipes. Like, honestly, because I love tuna. I just love fish in general speaking. I think it's full of iron and protein and that sort of stuff.
It's an excellent lean protein source for anyone trying to get a lot of protein. And just to give you a macro breakdown of this meal, it is a higher protein, higher fat meal and lower carb meal. So that's something that you might want to have at night, because fat is really good for your body before sleeping. Like it helps you, it will help you stay fuller longer. And it's very good for your brain. So don't forgo the fats. Don't look for low fat products in the grocery store, because whenever one type of macronutrient is taken away, another type needs to be added in to balance that food. So generally, low fat products usually contain higher sources of carbohydrates, which are not necessarily the type of carbs that you would be looking for. It would be in the form of sugars. So go for the full fat. It's okay.
Okay. It's a good advice as well, because, you know, another day I was, obviously it's everybody knows that, but people actually, we sleep within our lifetime. Our sleeping time is actually 22 years. And it's an interesting thing you're saying, because imagine like having a bit of a fad before sleep. Yeah. When we go to sleep, we need some food to process, because technically our body's still digesting. Absolutely. And our body's still working. And if you're thinking about 22 years, you actually sleep, right? You need food to do that. Yeah. So like, all of these secrets are don't eat before sleep. Don't put anything into your mouth like 3-4 hours before you go to sleep.
It depends what you're eating. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. And actually, I came across this piece of research. I'm going to make it very quick. Don't worry. I just get very excited about it. It was done in 2020. And this is why I want to drive home the point that it's not just about calories. It matters what you are eating. It matters the breakdown, whether you're eating more fat, whether you're eating more carbs, whether you're eating more protein. They did a study where there were two groups, and the goal for these two groups was to put on muscle mass. Now, in case you didn't know, when you are putting on muscle, there's always a percentage of fat that muscle will also take on in order for you to be able to put it on your body. So there's no such thing as gaining muscle without gaining any fat in the process. Okay. So the first group was given cupcakes. Technically, both groups were given cupcakes. The first group's cupcakes were made with saturated fat, something like butter. And the second group's cupcakes were made with unsaturated fats. Okay. At the end of the experiment, they noticed that both groups were able to put on the same amount of weight, the same amount of, like in terms of if they both were measured on the scale. However, what was really interesting was the group that ate the saturated fat ended up putting 80% of that amount of weight gain was due to fat versus 20% of it was due to muscle. Now, the other group that had the cupcakes that were made with unsaturated fat, the breakdown of the weight gain was different. So they had a breakdown of 50% of that additional weight was muscle and 50% was fat. So it's just a little experiment to show you that what you're ingesting can have an effect on your overall physique. Like they both had the same weight. They both gained the same amount of weight. But if you look at two people and one of them they both have the same weight, but one of them has more muscle on their body, to our eye, it's going to look extremely different. Like they're going to look more toned, as people like to say. I hate that word, but we can talk about that later. There's no such thing as being toned. It just means you're putting on more muscle. Yeah, they're gonna look more toned, and they're gonna look to your eyes as somebody that is healthier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's not all about calories. It's really about what you're eating.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, it's very interesting one.
Yeah.
Very interesting point. And with the last recipe, I really want to talk about, because I'm absolutely hopeless. I love just sweets in generally speaking, but obviously being in a bit of a space like probably a lot of people are, like, we're trying to eliminate, as you're saying, calories. Don't do it. Focus on what the positivity, the positive side of food. Nevertheless, there's a difference between, for example, a donut and, for example, I don't know, the beautiful cakes that you just have coconut orange cake. Yeah. So what's the difference between donut and particularly your recipe that you created?
The main difference is that in my recipe, I didn't use refined sugar. So that is generally the thing that we are trying to avoid when we're going out. Now, don't get me wrong. If you had a donut and it made you feel good and you don't do this every day, enjoy the freaking donut.
Just 1 sec, sweetie.
Okay.
It's a live session with no prerequisites, so I just have to do something.
We have cute children in the background.
Yes. We're working in a live streaming live. There we go. Yep. Yeah, now I'm ready. So what's the difference? Because I think there's always a good solution for people craving for sweets like myself. Mm-hmm. But I can't, for example, eat donuts every day as much as I want to sometimes. And I know that it's all about the soul, what you want to, and benefits for you. Yeah. Nevertheless, we need to be mindful of the amount of sugar, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're having donut once a week, that's okay. That's not a big problem. But for example, putting on the scale this beautiful coconut orange cake and donut, what's the difference?
So it doesn't have refined sugar, like I was saying. And also, if you are making your own desserts at home, based on the ingredients that I put on the blog, you can have these as part of your healthy lifestyle throughout the week. You don't have to cut it out and say, oh, I can only have this like once every 2 months. Like it's not a healthy mindset. Like there's no such thing as, if you go into a weight loss journey, that you have to feel deprived. You can enjoy the foods that you like you said, in the correct quantities, so that you are not taking in more food than you are burning throughout the day. And you're not using refined sugar. Like this was made with a natural sweetener that I had on hand. And the fruit, the orange, adds a natural form of sugar, which your body will always respond to better than something that's processed and refined. So that's the biggest difference. And a lot of the times I don't use white flour in my ingredients, simply because it is enriched, and not enriched, it's processed. I use oat flour, which is gluten-free. So it's really good for people that have gluten allergies, for instance. This one, I believe, had spelt flour. So again, it's a more integral type of grain, instead of it's not as refined or as processed. So it's just a matter of taking the healthier ingredients in the sense that they are more whole, they contain more nutrients, they will give your body more in the sense that you're going to thrive and feel energetic and feel good while you eat it. And after you finish eating it, you're still going to feel good. You're not going to get the other effects that you would get from a sugar what's the word when you eat too much sugar and you sugar crash?
Sugar crash. So basically, in a way of endorphins, exactly. You'll still get them, but
you'll get
your body will benefit in a healthier way. In the healthy benefits, there's more healthy benefits for your body if you've got a cake based on natural sugar, like you said, oranges that got natural sugar, rather than a processed like a donut for instance.
Exactly.
So you still will get that portion of satisfaction and happy, because that's why we want sugar at times, right? We want to give ourselves a bit of a boost of happy
Chemicals.
criteria, categories, bit of a, but then, it's all about, and as you said, it's not hard to cook. It's 35 minutes, right?
In the
Something
oven.
like that.
Like once you mix all the ingredients and you put it in the cake pan, you put it in the oven. It's not like it's very hands-on. So
I might just do this one and I'll post it
Let me
next
know.
time because I'm interested in cooking some desserts as well, and it's good for everyone and it's easy. It doesn't seem to be too complex, which is fantastic. Yeah, that's a good one. Look, all this recipes looks absolutely great. We didn't discuss the breakfast, because I think breakfast is the best meal of the day. There's also, it's the last question probably out of the railer, but is the breakfast can be skipped?
It depends. So I know that some people like to do fasting, and in our minds, like a lot of people think breakfast is eaten in the morning, but it's basically the first meal that you have after you have woken up from a full night's sleep. So I personally don't skip breakfast. If you are doing fasting, then your first meal will be your breakfast at whatever time that is. So I don't think that you should ever forgo eating to lose weight. I think that it has to be in the right balance, and you have to look at it in the sense that you're getting nutrients, and these nutrients are going to help you on this journey. It's not about depriving yourself and taking things away, thinking that that's going to help you get there faster. Because what's going to happen is if you take stuff away, you may get there, but it will be very difficult to maintain, because you haven't really focused on building those habits. You've just focused on getting to this end goal that once you get there, then what happens, So I would.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it's all about the balance, and probably set up the right habits, the right habit of maintaining and staying healthy, and using great recipes from Niloo, from Getfitscience official. So everyone, please jump into Niloo's blog. I'll post all. I've seen a couple of people who are watching today, so I'll put in some links as well, so you guys will be able to jump in and read. They're all available. You just literally click on the recipe and read it and make it. So it's very easy. Too easy. You made it too easy for people. I should say that.
That's the goal, right? You want everyone to feel good.
Yeah, look, it's all about the balance in the end of the day. And it was a very good subject today. So please watch the space. I actually have more ideas for our next session already that come up. It's probably all about the age groups and the way you can eat in a particular age groups. So so be ready for that. So thank you so much for coming in, and the video will be also available on YouTube, on Australian Ubizblog YouTube channel as well. I'm sure Neil will pop it in as well, the same video into her channel. So also in Instagram, Facebook, please like, share, comment, ask questions. Niloo is happy to answer, and I will help out as much as I can to gather all these questions and give it to Niloo as well. So thank you so much. Having a lovely weekend. Enjoy sunshine if it's still there. If it's still there, enjoy even if it's 1 hour. It doesn't matter. One step at a time. We're all in a COVID living in a different world right now, but it doesn't hurt to continue eating healthy and learning about eating healthy and trying to get better, and just get that knowledge and use this knowledge, utilize this knowledge. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone who's
Have
watching.
a great weekend.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.